And we come in all flavors and in all colors, all backgrounds and all educations. And one thing that I learned that my grandmother said to me in the projects in Harlem was, just because you got an education don't mean you're better than anybody else. Because some of the most educated people aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer. But I'm not saying go get your education. I'm saying it's difficult to get your education. My daughter is from a different generation. And sometimes she has to check me and say, Mom, that's not the proper way. Even when I'm talking about transgender, non-binary, binary, fluid, I had to learn all those things. And how do you mix culture, right, and race and ethnicity with race and religion? Ooh, clutch your pearls, because that ain't easy to talk about either. And so you have to be open. You have to create a safe space, Jay, for people to be able to communicate those things that they might find very uncomfortable. And so we have our Anglo allies, our white allies, our Native American allies, our Armenian allies, our Tongan and Samoan allies, our Cambodian allies, our Chinese allies, our African American allies, or as we say, Chicanos back in the 70s, or black or African American or black power, all those conversations that we are uncomfortable. When I told my colleagues when I would work working for the hospitals, I would say to them, if Elmo, Big Bird, and Cookie Monster on Sesame Street can have a conversation about race, why can't we? If Big Bird can address race and culture, why can't we? It's because we haven't created a safe space. And so sometimes we have to ask those questions that are very, very uncomfortable. And I don't allow my colleagues and CFOs and CIOs in hospitals to become uncomfortable. I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable, and I have to say, well, during the pandemic, there's a black epidemiologist by the name of Keisha Corbett. She was the one who brought the COVID vaccination up front and center. And so no one knew who she was. And so I had to say to my epidemiologist, well, I don't understand why there's so much vaccine COVID resistance. Well, do you know about the Tuskegee experiment? Do you know about Henrietta Lacks? Do you know what happened to the Native Americans? And did you know what happened to the women in Puerto Rico that were getting sterilized without their knowledge, and women on the Sioux reservations getting sterilized? And so you need to understand culture. You need to understand race. You need to understand pain. You got to be able to deal with that. I can even walk into a prison, and I'm cool there, and I'm cool on 123rd, and I'm cool at 5th and Town, and I'm cool in the middle of the Sets, Crips, Bloods, Pyrus, and Brims, because we have to move in that world. And so this is a generation that's very different. And they're not going to do the BS. You're going to have to come with keep it 100. Is that what y'all say, keep it 100? And so that's what keeping 100 is. And so my daughter and their generations have to hit me to let me know that's inappropriate, Mom. That's a bias, Mom. And so there is a conscious bias when we see race, what we can see physically or features of somebody, and then there's the unconscious bias that when I call for a job interview on the phone, Jay, they hear this voice, and then I walk into the office and they see this face and I don't get a job. Or I walk into a CFO's office and say, I think that this person is dealing with stress or anxiety, because the biggest thing that we have to do within this generation, I'm going to bring my colleague up next, and my daughter, she wants to speak, is you have to be an advocate for people. And you know what, when you're an advocate, you put a moving target on your back. Because rebels don't get grades. Rebels pay bills. And it's a social conscience bill. So when you say you're doing health equity, you say you're down with the cause, you better be ready to take some punches. And I'm 60, and I can tell you I've been fired from many jobs. I just had a battle with a corporation that I was dealing with, that I had to talk to them about. When you tell me to come in and do health equity, you tell me to address conscious bias, you tell me to address unconscious bias, let's start with the CFOs, CIOs, and the COs in this office. We'll start with the senior leadership. Because the young people got it. It's our generation that doesn't. So, when I say to you that I walk in humility and I walk in 3 minorities, I'm very proud of that. My grandmother was taken, my great-great-grandmother was taken from the gate of Quito to Curacao, from Curacao to St. Thomas, and from St. Thomas to Puerto Rico. So I have the better of all 3 worlds. I'm black, Latin, and I'm a woman, Jay. And it's a good thing. And so I say to the next generation and the generations to come behind me, they know better than I do. Because I'm still learning about binary, non-binary, trans, fluid. I got to learn all those things. You ain't got to like it, but you need to learn it and you need to respect it. And that's why we have such many divisions, and polity is what we call in our churches. So what I've learned to do is become a crossing guard. I'm a thanatologist. It's a study of death, dying, and loss. So my background is in theology. And thanatology is the study of death, dying, and loss. Because we have a lot of young people that are not attaining and not achieving is because they're dealing with mental illness. Anxiety, depression, stress. This is the most stressed out generation that you can even think about. Because they have a lot of pressure. And that's why we have young people committing suicide. Just checking out of here. Because it ain't all guns and roses and it ain't all sweet all the time. So with that, you know, be open, talk. You elders, you need to talk to these young people. You Latino elders, you need to talk to them. We need to talk about color, shade, hair, texture. We need to do it all. Because we are up against it as Americans. And so if we don't address the issues, history is failed to repeat again over and over and over. And so the only thing that we can do is engage it. And so I hope I've shared some pearls of wisdom. I hope I can assist and facilitate. If you need somebody to teach you about health equity, how to fight the system, move through the system, get what you need for the people that are ill. Jay and I were talking about that. Jay, we were talking about that, Kevin and I, in regards to health equity. I just lost my mom 2 months ago. But because of the fact I worked in hospice, I know how to navigate and move through to make sure that she got the best care that she needed. But never be afraid when somebody hands you a mic and says, race and ethnicity, explain it to me. What does that mean? Race has to do with physical attributes, color, texture. Ethnicity, cultura, Southern culture, Armenian culture, Dominican culture, Puerto Rican culture, Creole culture, Georgia culture, Alabama culture, Louisiana culture, Jalisco culture. Never be ashamed of that. So like I said, if Kermit the Frog, Cookie Monster, and Elmo can get it down pat, surely we can. I want Jay Tucker on pass the mic. I can't rap on the pass the mic.
Hello.
So my name's Amo. I'm first child. We have the same face, so it's probably pretty obvious. When I think about race, I have to address like big things that I'm very, 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 very high yellow, as people would describe it as. And with that being said, that dark-skinned people are disrespected in front of me, and I'm put in front of them. And that's colorism, and I don't stand for that, because I've been raised by dark skin my whole life. Because it was dark skin who helped with my hair, it was dark who taught me how to navigate, you know, African features, to know what to do, how to prepare myself, how to embrace my African features, because there's a lot of colorism in Puerto Rico. My father is black as my mother's penis. And I'm killer in her, as you can see. So when they see us in public, it's a constant. They ask her, well, is their father white? No, like I'm just pale. And it would all be a separation of, oh, that can't be your mother. And so why did they picture my father in my wallet, identify that I'm black? Like this is, I have a big black features. But at the same time, I have to really step back, because while I don't experience racism, I don't experience colorism. And I've watched people who are women, black men, who are much more talented, have much more everything more than me, and they're pushed to the back, oh, you come here. And I'm like, no, like you're not going to make me be against my own people. And as I divert into that, what are my shoes? Anyone Naruto fan at all? Any Naruto fans? All right, perfect. All right, so we can Anime Expo. Being black and a nerd is dangerous. I have been jumped 4 times at E3, Dragon Con, Anime Expo, because I was cosplay character that was supposed to be white. But nobody in Naruto is a white girl at Japanese, so that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
And it's to the point where there have been arguments about why there's racism and escapism, if you guys haven't noticed that.
Say that again.
There's racism and escapism. The fantasy that we see, people are shocked when they hear that Black and brown folks watch Game of Thrones. That we literally can name every single character from any show that we want to, and we're told that, oh, that's not for you. You're not allowed to like those type of things. You aren't allowed to stick to your genre. You just like love hip hop, love this, love that. We can like that, and we can love other things as well. And being a Black fan, I'm proud to debate them theirs. I know I'm doing my best to work on it. I have to constantly remind people that, one, please don't misgender me, because I understand it's difficult, but I would respect you if you came to me and let me know. That's all I ask in return. Or just try. And if you don't know my pronouns, just say my name.